What if I told you your next car could cost $10,000 more? Not because of the tech, the engine, or the brand, but because of politics. Right now, a silent war is unfolding, not on the streets, but on the factory floors and shipping docks. A 25% tariff is shaking the U.S. auto market to its core, and the fallout is hitting faster than you think. Why are foreign automakers scrambling to build in America? Why are U.S. buyers rethinking that luxury SUV? And could this tariff shift push electric vehicles into the mainstream sooner than anyone expected? In this video, we'll uncover how one policy decision is reshaping everything, from the cars we buy to the jobs we depend on. Buckle up. Tariffs reshape the road. The battle between domestic and foreign automakers. In 2025, the American auto industry isn't just evolving. It's being rewritten by a single seismic policy, a 25% tariff slapped on imported vehicles. What began as a political maneuver aimed at protecting domestic manufacturers has now ignited an industry-wide upheaval, redrawing the battlefield lines between homegrown giants and foreign titans. On the surface, it may seem like a win for America-first automaking. U.S. companies like Ford, General Motors, and Tesla have suddenly found themselves with a competitive edge, not because of a technological breakthrough, but because their rivals are now contending with massive cost increases. But behind the scenes, the story is far more complex and far more volatile. For decades, the American car market thrived on global competition. Foreign automakers, Toyota, Honda, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen, had long established a deep presence in the U.S., not just through sales, but also through sprawling production networks in states like Alabama, South Carolina, and Tennessee. But the new tariffs hit where it hurts: the imports. Now, a luxury sedan built in Germany, a compact hybrid from Japan, or an electric hatchback from South Korea can cost thousands more to bring stateside. According to industry analysts, the average German-made vehicle now carries an $11,894 premium solely due to the tariff. For buyers, that translates into sticker shock. For dealers, it's shrinking inventory. For automakers, it's an existential threat. But foreign brands aren't going down without a fight. Companies like Subaru, Nissan, and even Mercedes-Benz are racing to reconfigure their production maps, shifting more assembly to U.S. soil to avoid tariff penalties. It's a strategic scramble, and in many ways, a logistical nightmare. Ramping up domestic production means billions in new investment, tight labor markets, and the pressure to move faster than their American counterparts can capitalize. For some, like Toyota and Honda, the transition is easier. They already produce a significant share of their U.S.-sold vehicles locally. But others, especially premium brands heavily reliant on European plants, are being forced into a high-stakes gamble. Either pay the price or pivot quickly enough to survive. Meanwhile, American automakers are experiencing a rare moment of tailwind. Tesla, in particular, is emerging as the dark horse victor. With all its manufacturing rooted in the United States, the EV leader is not just unaffected by the tariff. It's poised to exploit the fallout. As foreign EVs climb in price, Tesla's Model 3 and upcoming compact hatchback suddenly look like irresistible deals. Ford, too, benefits, but not without caveats. While its trucks and SUVs are mostly built domestically, its global supply chain still runs deep, and some components caught in the tariff web could create unforeseen ripples. At the heart of this realignment is a chilling question. Are we watching the rise of a new American automotive golden age, or the acceleration of a price bubble that could burst? Some analysts warn that even with the intended boost for domestic production, overall U.S. vehicle sales are expected to drop by nearly 1 million units this year, plummeting below 15 million compared to over 16 million just a year ago. Consumers are rethinking purchases. Lease returns are delayed. Used vehicle prices are climbing again. The very lifeblood of the auto economy, steady, predictable churn, is under threat. What happens next will define not just the next chapter of car buying in America, but the future of manufacturing as a whole. Will foreign brands successfully embed deeper into U.S. soil and maintain their hold on loyal American buyers? Or will the protectionist wave permanently shift the power balance, giving U.S. manufacturers a long-sought dominance they haven't truly enjoyed in decades? The road ahead is uncertain, but one thing is clear. The tariff wasn't just a trade policy. It was the match that lit a fire under the entire automotive world, and the engine is still revving. The collapse of car imports, why dealerships are running dry, and the engine is still revving, but the supply lines are sputtering. as tariffs continue to rearrange the global map of automotive trade. One of the most immediate and most visible consequences is playing out on the asphalt lots of dealerships across America. Where once stood rows of freshly delivered vehicles, foreign sedans, Japanese hybrids, German SUVs, there are now yawning gaps, longer wait lists, and anxious sales teams caught between frustrated customers and an increasingly unreliable pipeline of imports. In cities like Los Angeles, Chicago, and Atlanta, foreign car dealerships are beginning to resemble ghost towns. Inventory levels have dropped sharply, some by as much as 60%, and what remains is often outdated, overpriced, or simply not what the buyer wants. A customer walking into a BMW showroom in May 2025 may find just a handful of models available, most of them in trims or colors nobody ordered. Meanwhile, on the back end, delivery schedules are in chaos. With overseas production still catching up to the tariffs and the new manufacturing plans in the U.S. not yet operational, foreign automakers are caught in a supply chain bottleneck of their own making. And buyers? They're stuck. People who have long been loyal to foreign brands, known for reliability, refinement, or cutting-edge innovation, are now finding themselves priced out or completely left without options. One buyer in Texas reportedly waited 3 months for a Subaru Outback, only to be told it had been rerouted to another region due to inventory shortages. Meanwhile, dealerships are scrambling to retain sales staff, as commissions dry up and foot traffic slows to a crawl. Some are resorting to aggressive trade-in campaigns or used car-only specials just to keep the lights on. This dramatic disruption is also creating ripple effects across the used vehicle market. With fewer new foreign cars available, demand for pre-owned models has surged. A 2022 Honda CR-V, once considered a practical used buy, is now fetching prices close to what it costs new, sometimes more. Dealers that were once wary of taking older trade-ins are now advertising, "We'll buy your car." Signs like it's 2021 all over again. It's a desperate play for stock in a world where the tap has run dry. Yet perhaps the most unnerving development is the psychological shift taking place. For years, the American car market has trained consumers to expect abundance. Choices in brand, model, trim, even color. But now that selection is narrowing and patience is being tested, the emotional connection people feel towards certain brands, particularly legacy foreign automakers, is starting to fray. And in that void, domestic players are stepping in. Ford and General Motors are seeing increased traffic, not necessarily because their products have improved overnight, but because they have cars on the lot. Availability has become its own marketing strategy. Meanwhile, foreign automakers are desperately trying to recalibrate. Mercedes-Benz and Volkswagen are accelerating their plans to shift production to U.S. plants, with new facility announcements in Georgia and South Carolina. But building or expanding a factory isn't like flipping a switch. It takes time, labor, logistics, and capital. Some brands may survive the dry spell. Others may not. Nissan and Mitsubishi, already battling weakening U.S. brand loyalty, could face existential decisions about whether to scale down operations entirely or double down with massive American investment. The great irony in all this? A policy designed to protect American jobs is now forcing foreign companies to invest more heavily in American soil than ever before. But in the interim, the landscape remains barren. The cars that were once so ubiquitous they seemed immune to market forces are now suddenly scarce. And in that scarcity lies opportunity for some and slow collapse for others. The road has narrowed. The lots have emptied. The global assembly line has jammed. The question now is no longer just who can make the best car, but who can make it here, make it now, and keep the wheels turning before the market forgets them entirely. The collapse of car imports isn't just a trade story, it's a retail reckoning. And for many dealerships, the next delivery may come too late. Tesla versus the world. How U.S. tariffs created a homegrown superpower. As foreign brands scramble to rewire their global manufacturing, and dealerships across the nation suffer from evaporating inventory, one company stands conspicuously unaffected, if not emboldened, by the turmoil: Tesla. While nearly every legacy automaker has been forced to grapple with the 25% import tariffs and the logistical migraines they've unleashed, Tesla has quietly solidified its dominance, not by adjusting to the new rules, but by writing them. Tesla's entire playbook was, perhaps unintentionally, built for this moment. Long before trade wars and tariffs entered the headlines, Elon Musk had pushed for vertical integration and aggressive domestic manufacturing. Gigafactories in Nevada, Texas, and New York already produce the vast majority of Tesla's components and final vehicles. When the tariffs hit, Tesla didn't need to restructure supply chains or reshore assembly. It was already there. And now, as competitors hemorrhage market share and customer loyalty, Tesla is seizing ground. Sales figures for Tesla vehicles have surged since the tariffs took effect. Demand for the Model 3 and Model Y continues to outpace production, but it's the next-generation compact Tesla, rumored to debut at under $30,000, that is poised to obliterate what's left of the affordable EV competition. With rivals like Hyundai, Kia, and Volkswagen struggling to keep their EVs price competitive due to tariff penalties, Tesla's American-made badge is more than a patriotic flourish. It's an economic advantage. Tesla is also reaping the benefits of consumer psychology and chaos. As uncertainty swirls around foreign availability, fluctuating price tags, and shifting brand loyalties, Tesla offers consistency. Its vehicles are not just available, they're aspirational. In the absence of comparable options, many buyers, especially first-time EV adopters, are defaulting to Tesla as the safe electric choice, even if it wasn't their first preference. For a company that has long positioned itself as more than a car maker, as a tech brand, a lifestyle, a movement, this moment is a windfall of trust and timing. And yet, Tesla isn't content to simply absorb the fallout. It's going on the offensive. In recent months, the company has doubled down on expansion, opening new showrooms in areas where foreign brands are losing ground and fast-tracking the construction of an additional gigafactory in the Midwest. It's also revamped its software ecosystem, leveraging its AI-driven autopilot, fleet data, and energy integrations to further differentiate itself not just as a vehicle manufacturer, but as a platform. No other automaker in the U.S. can offer what Tesla does at scale. American-made EVs, full ecosystem integration, and a brand immune to the current global turmoil. While other domestic players like Ford and GM do enjoy some of the same tariff protections, they lack Tesla speed. Tesla's ability to iterate quickly, both in product and production, has allowed it to capitalize on disruption in ways legacy automakers simply can't. Ford, still tangled in recalls and delays, is playing catch-up. GM is investing heavily in electrification, but its Ultium platform still faces manufacturing hiccups. Meanwhile, Tesla is delivering cars, building factories, and gaining mindshare. International automakers are starting to understand that the threat isn't just temporary market loss, it's long-term brand erosion. If this trend continues, Tesla may not just dominate the EV sector. It could redefine what it means to be a successful automaker in the U.S. Not just electric, not just domestic, but resilient, fast, and ideologically aligned with the post-globalization age of national production. What began as a tariff meant to defend Detroit may ultimately have crowned a very different king of American automotive. In Tesla, the U.S. hasn't just found a survivor, it has found a superpower. And now, as the global brands that once defined luxury, reliability, and innovation flounder under the weight of economic policy, the world's most disruptive automaker is quietly becoming its most dominant. Tesla isn't just winning the battle. It's rewriting the rules of the war. The new Detroit, foreign automakers scramble to manufacture in America. As Tesla ascends and traditional U.S. automakers find themselves briefly fortified by protectionist policies, foreign brands are facing a stark ultimatum: build in America or risk irrelevance. The 25% tariff on imported vehicles hasn't just inflated costs. It has fundamentally changed the map of global car production. And now, in boardrooms from Tokyo to Stuttgart, the question is no longer whether to move manufacturing stateside, but how fast it can be done. For many of these automakers, the writing is on the wall. BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Hyundai, Toyota, and Honda already have substantial footprints in the United States, with long-standing factories in the South and Midwest. These facilities, once built for supplemental output and North American customization, are suddenly being repurposed as lifelines. BMW's plant in Spartanburg, South Carolina, already one of the largest in the world, is being expanded to accommodate full production of more models, including electrics. Mercedes-Benz has fast-tracked investment into its Alabama plant, now planning to localize not just final assembly, but critical battery production as well. But for companies that don't yet have deep roots in American soil, or those whose product mix heavily depends on European or Asian manufacturing, the pressure is even greater. Volkswagen, despite years of strategy pivoting toward U.S. EV production, finds itself struggling to keep up with surging demand and tight timelines. Nissan, whose brand equity in the US has waned in recent years, is now considering a sweeping realignment that could see multiple vehicle lines fully migrated to its Smyrna, Tennessee plant in a last-ditch effort to preserve relevance. Mazda and Subaru, both historically dependent on Japanese assembly, are now exploring high-cost, high-stakes joint ventures to build domestic factories, moves that were unthinkable just a year ago. This sudden push to build American is not without consequences. States like Georgia, Kentucky, Texas, and Tennessee are experiencing a manufacturing boom reminiscent of Detroit's golden age. Incentives are flowing. Land is being rezoned. Politicians are celebrating. And workers? They're in demand like never before. But therein lies the next complication: the labor pool. Auto plants are specialized, high-skill environments, and many regions lack the immediate workforce to meet new factory requirements. Companies are having to invest heavily in training programs, automation, and retention bonuses just to staff the assembly lines. The infrastructure challenges are equally daunting. Shipping routes, battery supply chains, steel, and aluminum sourcing, all of it must be reoriented to fit a domestic production model that many companies had outsourced decades ago. Building a car in America isn't just about assembling parts. It's about rebuilding an ecosystem. And while giants like Toyota may be better positioned with existing U.S. suppliers and legacy investments, smaller or newer entrants face enormous logistical and financial hurdles. There's also the branding challenge. For years, many foreign automakers leaned into their heritage: German engineering, Japanese reliability, Korean tech-forward innovation. Now, as they move manufacturing to Kentucky or Alabama, will consumers still perceive them the same way? Will a Tennessee-built Lexus carry the same luxury cachet as one from Nagoya? Will buyers accept a Volkswagen made in Chattanooga as the spiritual heir to the Autobahn-tested classics of Wolfsburg? Ironically, the transformation of the U.S. into a new global hub of automotive manufacturing recalls Detroit's former dominance. But without the big three at the center. The new Detroit isn't a city, but a scattered network of plants and supply chains stretching across red state America. And its future isn't rooted in gasoline, but in lithium-ion. The move to domestic production is about more than tariff avoidance. It's a redefinition of what it means to be a foreign automaker in America. In this new paradigm, the lines between domestic and international are blurring. A Toyota built in Texas with American labor and parts may soon have more right to be called American than a GM vehicle assembled in Mexico. The auto industry, once globalized to the point of abstraction, is becoming territorial again. And that territoriality is ushering in a new kind of competition. Less about nationality and more about geography, speed, and adaptability. The battle lines have shifted. The foreign automakers that can pivot fastest, those that can replant their roots in American soil, stand a chance of thriving. Those that can't may soon find themselves priced out, overlooked, and increasingly obsolete. The road to survival now runs through U.S. soil, and it's a race against time. Sticker shock: how a 25% tariff is crushing car buyers. While automakers scramble to reconfigure supply chains and dealerships fight to stock their showrooms, the people feeling the most immediate pain are the very ones the industry relies on to survive: everyday American car buyers. The 25% tariff on imported vehicles, once pitched as a means to strengthen domestic industry, has become a punishing reality for consumers, driving prices upward, slashing choices, and putting new vehicles out of reach for millions. The result is a marketplace defined by frustration, hesitation, and a creeping sense that the dream of owning a new car is slipping further away. In 2024, the average price of a new vehicle in the U.S. hovered just under $49,000. By the spring of 2025, that figure has shot past $52,000 and climbing. The culprit isn't just inflation or rising interest rates. It's the tariff. For every foreign vehicle brought into the U.S., automakers are now tacking on thousands of dollars to cover the tariff's cost, and they're passing those costs directly onto the buyer. A German SUV that once sold for $58,000 can now easily exceed $70,000. A Japanese compact that once represented an affordable, fuel-efficient choice for middle-class families may now require a premium-level monthly payment. And it's not just luxury models or niche imports being affected. Entire segments of the market are seeing their benchmarks shift. Buyers shopping for popular models like the Toyota RAV4, Honda Accord, or Hyundai Tucson are walking into showrooms and facing prices that seem completely disconnected from pre-2025 reality. Leasing has become more expensive. Finance terms are stretching to 7 or even 8 years. And more Americans are being forced to step down into used models or exit the market entirely. The pain is especially acute for first-time buyers and low to moderate income households. These are the consumers who historically relied on foreign automakers to offer affordable, reliable vehicles in the $20,000 to $30,000 range. Now, that segment has all but evaporated. What remains are sparse options, ballooning prices, and a resurgent used market where 3- and 4-year-old vehicles are commanding nearly new car prices. Even those who turn to domestic automakers hoping for relief aren't immune. With the surge in demand for tariff-free vehicles, U.S. manufacturers have found themselves with newfound leverage, and they're not afraid to use it. Incentives have dried up, dealer markups have returned, and the most affordable trims are the first to vanish from lots. In some cases, even U.S.-built vehicles include imported components that fall under the new tariff rules, causing price hikes that are less obvious but just as real.